You have not been shy about using the word monopoly, monopolist to describe many of these companies. What are your expectations in terms of the difference between a Harris presidency and a Trump presidency when it comes to the potential prosecution, if that, of any of these so-called monopolies, at least in your opinion?
Yeah, David, I thought Seema had it exactly right. I mean, investors are faced with a choice. On the one hand, you have Harris, who represents a continuation of the economic policies that did two things. One, create the strongest economic growth of any developed country since the pandemic, but has also combined that with much more rigorous antitrust enforcement, which has been rough on those industries, but fantastic for workers and fantastic for the economy as a whole. Contrast that with Trump, who is offering a very different vision. Right? He wants to end the CHIPS Act. He wants to end the ACA. He wants to deport tens of millions of people, and he wants to place tariffs on everything we import. Those things are collectively incredibly inflationary. And businesses have historically chosen stability over risk, which would argue for Harris. The tech industry is interesting because there's so many players in there whose interest is not in democracy, whose interest is not in economic growth, but it's just in lowering their personal taxes and having a opportunity to grow their businesses without any government interference. And I understand that position. I just think in this election, the interests of investors are actually different because antitrust will unlock a lot of value for investors that currently is stuck inside these companies that are doing self-driving cars and these duplicative investments in generative AI that I think are not going to provide investors.
I don't know, Roger. I feel like the current antitrust regime has actually, if you talk to investors and executives, has put a chill on activity and economic growth because there's been deals blocked and deals that haven't even gotten to the floor because they're so worried that this current FTC in particular is not going to welcome it.
Well, let me push back on that because I think what you're seeing is an understandable dislike from the folks who want to do the concentration, who want to aggregate more and more of the economy into fewer and fewer hands. The reality is, if you go back to the history of the tech industry, an antitrust case in 1956 created the industry in the first place. It separated uniquely in the world the U.S. computer industry from telecom, which was a huge advantage, and it created the semiconductor industry by putting the transistor in the public domain. The IBM case in the 60s separated software from hardware, which essentially triggered the personal computer industry. The follow-on AT&T cases accelerated cellular telephony and created the internet. So I don't think people should be as negative. History says antitrust is good for investors.
Well, you could make that argument also that the Trump administration wasn't exactly. They also brought some of these cases against big tech in their Department of Justice.
Definitely.
The other thing I also just want to say is you said that he would repeal the CHIPS Act. He hasn't said anything. President Trump hasn't said anything, and Speaker Johnson has walked back some comments suggesting that as well. And I don't think it's a surprise that CHIPS did better under the Democratic leadership because it was also a time where generative AI boomed. And yes, we got the CHIPS Act as well, but I think hard to make the case that it was very partisan.
I'm simply talking about the issues that are on the table that investors are going to have to decide by. Do you want to have a stay the course strategy, or do you want to have one with radical change? And again, investors are going to make their choices about this. I think this one is a lot more clear-cut than what we normally get in a presidential election. But again, it's not going to be up to me to decide how this comes down. The voters are going to decide.
They will. And at some point, we're going to find out. Perhaps not on election night, but perhaps even soon after. Roger, thank you.